Hey everyone, Dr. Frunky here with an awesome new knife consult for you. If you've followed my channel for any length of time here on YouTube or over on Instagram, you probably know that I have a thing for green anodized titanium on my knives. As you can see, these are my 4 knives out here in the corners, and they show some of the different variations that someone can have in terms of anodizing something green. The reason that I like it so much is that it's actually quite hard to achieve a consistent and good quality green color. If you ask a knife maker to make you something in green, they're going to have a conniption fit, and then they're going to try to do it for you. What I have in front of me today is a very special knife. This is the Robert Oldaker Gladius, the R.O.B Gladius right here. And it has come to me in a very Frunkified spec right here with a full show scale of green anodized Damascus. I'll go ahead and move these other knives off the screen here. This is the Brian Nadeau Sharp by Design Mini Typhoon in the green Mamba setup. Here is the Koenig Knives Arius with the green hardware on it. This is the Brown Knives Servo that had a flame anodized Damascus clip that's also been partially blackened. And then, of course, the Robert Carter and Nick Chuprin BBM with its green titanium accents. But this one takes it one step further in making an entire show scale out of green anodized Damascus. And what a spectacular knife this is. I wanted to go ahead and thank my good buddy Josh Zinn. He goes by Old Sluggy to some people. He's more popular in the Balisong community than maybe in the folding tactical knife world. But he is blowing up right now. He's got a couple of Instagram feeds, and he has been very kind to send a handful of his full custom knives to me, including this one. So thank you, Josh, for sending this along. And thanks to Rob for talking to me a little bit about the history of this knife and his knife making, and so I can bring this video to you guys. So let's go ahead and get some vital signs on this beautiful thing right here. Up front, we are looking at about 3.5 inches of blade length, just under 8 inches, maybe 7.9 inches of overall length. The handle area is going to be coming in at about 4.5 inches, and the grip space is coming in at just under 4 inches. I'm not going to include this as a forward finger choil. You can sneak your finger into it, and we'll talk about that in a second, but I don't think that it's truly meant to be a full finger choil. These are some nice thick chunks of titanium and Damascus. It's coming in at almost 0.6 inches in overall width, and the blade stock is a very robust 180 thousandths right there. So it is, like I said, 2 big chunks of titanium. It is not internally milled, but I think that was the point of the knife, and we'll talk about that. But it's coming in at 7.19 ounces, so quite a chunky knife at 3.5 inches and 7 ounces. I think the golden ratio that we sometimes look for is 1 ounce to 1 inch of blade length, and this one is on the opposite end of that spectrum. But let's talk about a couple of other knives that might be a good size comparison here. Here we've got a Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and a Spyderco Para 3. As you can see, this knife does fall in terms of the length category in between these 2 knives. So the purpose of this knife, as Rob put it, was to make an overbuilt tank-like knife that would still be pleasant to pocket. And I'm sure that he meant in something more like jeans or some sort of tactical pants for that pocket, but certainly the size is a testament to that. So let's go ahead and take a look at this thing anatomically. Up front is a beautiful blade done in Chad Nichols Damascus. This is a beautiful pattern right here that is absolutely breathtaking. He's done a hollow ground Tanto grind right here, and it is really just a spectacular thing. I remember he posted a picture of this a little while ago on his feed, and I just was in awe of how beautiful it was. Having this in hand is really, really nice. I haven't really had enough of these interesting Damascus steels on the channel yet, and I'm very thankful. This is a full stainless Damascus. So, you know, a lot of the complaints about Damascus was that it was not fully stainless. With the advent of Damasteel and the competitive market right now, all of these Damascus steels are moving to full stainless. I couldn't tell you the 2 steels that this is comprised of, but as you can see, Rob has achieved a very nice and high contrast etch. And so you can see the difference there. He's done a full hand rub satin on the flats here. The swedge is treated, as is the top of the blade, As you can see, it still keeps the layers of steel there, and it's quite beautiful to look at. On the back, he's got his Texas-made logo going on right there. It's a very, very nice blade. The hollow grind makes this thick stock quite cutting friendly. It comes down to a very thin area behind the edge. It's quite a deep hollow grind. So this thing will cut, and it does slice quite well. Now, he intended for this to be a heavy-duty, strong folder, and so this is not going to be your apple slicing knife of choice, but this is certainly nice if you want a heavier-duty, high-end carry right there. Moving back to the pivot, this thing runs on ball bearings. It's very, very smooth on its pivot, and the blade does, if I can get it over the detent, does drop freely under its own weight. Something that I've noticed is the way that he's done an internalized stop pin right here. As the blade opens, you can see the stop pin is in the blade, and then it comes into contact with the handles. In my opinion, this is not my favorite solution for this problem, where it leaves this mechanism open. As you can see, there maybe is a little bit of gunk that builds up in there over time. If you're meticulous about cleaning your knives like I am, it's not such a big deal because you're used to cleaning knives. But for somebody who might be afraid to disassemble something like this, that might be a factor. I will say that the ball bearings are quite smooth, and it just makes for a very nice action. Sorry, the detent, I keep getting stuck on it. The detent, speaking of, is a little bit on the lighter side. It's not a super crisp detent. Now, bear in mind, this is Rob's first folding knife, and so his first effort out of the gate is a pretty solid one. Not everyone is able to nail all the details every time on the first time. The detent is a bit soft, but the blade does not hesitate to come out of the handle and fully lock up. If you're not really well inclined, you can limp wrist it a little bit. This reminds me a bit of my original Curtis F3. That also had a bit of a lighter detent, but it's got a big enough flipper tab that if you really give it some leverage, it's going to fly out of the handle. Speaking of the flipper tab, it is a quite unique design. Some people may like it, some people don't like it. This is one of the more controversial design elements on the R.O.B knives. What it does do is allow for a bit of a finger choil up front. You can sneak your finger in there. Especially if you have smaller fingers, you're going to be able to utilize that a little bit better. But I do think you could sneak it in there, but I'm not going to call it a finger choil. I'm going to call it an oversized sharpening choil. That's one of those things that bugs me a little bit sometimes. I wish they would just either be full size for a finger or a little bit smaller as just a choil, but at least the plunge grind and everything and the knife is sharpened quite well back to the heel of the blade right there. Moving back to the handles, the showpiece on this knife is obviously this beautiful green Damascus scale. I'm going to wipe off my finger oils here so you can see it in its full glory. This is a very, very nice Damascus pattern that he has electro-anodized. So similar to what I showed in my Gavco video a couple of weeks ago, this one has been acid-etched and then electro-anodized, and he chose to do it in this high voltage green, and I am absolutely in love with it. So take a look here. What I really love to see are some of the details. Look at this, the lines of the Damascus around the chamfers of the handle. He's done it in the back spacer as well. Just look at the lines of the Damascus there. This is just really pretty to look at, and I absolutely am in love. You guys know I love green, and this is just amazing. I am really tempted to ask Josh to let me have this knife, just on the fact that it's green alone. He's also done it on the pocket clip. This is a full titanium or Damascus milled pocket clip. The back side is a titanium frame lock right here with a steel insert that's fixed from the inside. He's polished the end of those screws, so it looks quite nice. This one has a bit of a satin finish on the flat and then a distressed finish on the chamfers for a usable sort of finish. The pivot hardware and the hardware on the handle here is quite nice. It's like a T8 and a T10 to disassemble everything, and so it's robust hardware. It's quite nice. In hand, this knife is quite ergonomic. It actually fits very nicely in my larger hand. I get a full 4-finger grip on it. My thumb rests very nicely on the jimping right there. The clip is very large, and so it doesn't actually provide a hot spot. It's actually comfortable because it's all rounded, and it keeps it adds a little bit of grip to the knife right there. Any case, I wanted to show this beautiful Robert Oldaker blade here, R.O.B Blades. You should go check out his work on Instagram. He is a USA, Texas knife maker, and he makes these knives. He's got a Gladius 2 coming out that is a combination effort with Jared Van Otterloo. It's a bit bigger, so this will be the Gladius 1 from here on. But definitely check out his work. Go ahead and click like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Tell me what you think of this knife down below. And as always, guys, take care.